So when we last left off, we had this situation, and you had to do a quick drawing assignment. And now let's look over that drawing assignment together, okay? So we have this situation, and that's when the ball needs to go the other way, all right? We don't know how to do that yet, and we don't actually know how to detect this yet. I mean, we do, but let's say for all intents and purposes, we don't, okay? But the first thing we have to do is figure out what are the conditions where it's gonna move to the left, okay? And so what we did is we drew this out, right? So we gotta draw this out, and so I'm gonna draw this out, and I'll make this nice and big. Why not, right? Let's live a little, okay? Notice that it's not mirrored anymore. I figured that out. Use zoom. That's the life hack, is to use zoom. 0, 0. Okay, we're gonna do it right. X equals 0, y equals 0, right? And then over here is x equals width, y equals 0, right? Remember, we're asking the question, how far to the right are we? Well, we're width, right? Because width always has the width of this thing. Y equals 0, because how far down are we? We're not down at all at this point, okay? So then at some point, our ball comes over here, okay? And I'm just gonna make it nice and big. Notice, it doesn't have to be the perfect ball, all right? And we have a width of the ball, and we have a height of the ball, all right? So clearly, the width of the ball has something to do with this, all right? So ellipse width is what we'll call it. I should have called it ball width. All right? And there's another thing where the only point of the ball we're keeping track of right now is center X and center Y, or whatever, right? We're updating center X, actually. We might not actually be keeping track of center Y. We just hard code it to the middle of the screen, height over 2, right? But we're updating center X, and that's why it's moving, right? By updating, I mean we're incrementing or adding to it. Okay, so what's the equation here? Well, this whole thing is ellipse width, right? And if we go from center X and we go a certain amount in this direction, we get to the end of our circle, okay? Again, I'm using so many different terms for it. Ball, circle, ellipse, all right? Don't get thrown off. Or if you get thrown off, come in and scream at me. That's totally fine too. Okay, so we're taking center X and we're going a little bit to the right, and that's where the end of our ball is. Well, what's that little bit? Well, if this whole thing is the ellipse width, right, then that bit has to be half the ellipse width, right? And so if we go center X plus ellipse width over 2, okay, then if that's touching the width of the whole thing, we know that we need to start going the other direction, okay? Now, some of you might be jumping ahead and saying, well, that means that we should just say equals equals. And we'll get into equals equals because I haven't formally introduced it yet, all right? And that's actually not what we want to do. We want to use greater than or less than, and we'll talk about why in an upcoming video. So this is a little check your knowledge thing, and now we'll do some formal introductions of branching patterns, which is another way we bring intelligence into our programs.